This video is going to be a film study focus on the Ravens' defensive line and outside linebackers that played a huge role in the game plan, I think, on Sunday. Containing Jaden Daniels, he was limited to 6 carries for 22 yards, threw the ball well, 2 touchdown passes to Terry McLaurin. The Ravens also shot down Washington's run game, 18 carries, 52 yards overall. The time of possession was almost 37-23 in the Ravens' favor. Along with all of those things, kept Daniels from scrambling in every situation but 2. I feel like you'll take that when you're dealing with an athletic quarterback like Jaden Daniels. 8 quarterback hits. There's a lot of guys involved here from a pass rush standpoint, from a run fit standpoint. Seemed to be less of an attacking style in some cases. I thought Van Noy made 2 spectacularly athletic plays along with 1 really high awareness pickup of a running back. Yannick Ngakoue continues to look good in the pass rush. I think he's looked good the moment he put a Ravens uniform on this year. Travis Jones, Nnamdi Madubuike, Michael Pierce all played well on the inside. Tavius Robinson looked really good in the fourth quarter on a handful of plays. I want to get to the film. Again, we're just going to focus on D-line, outside linebacker spot, so we're going to skip a number of plays, but I'll try to give you the possession and the down and distance. This is first possession for Washington. They're down inside our red zone, 3rd and 7. We're trying to check the coverage up top with Marcus Williams. And the patented hump move by Travis Jones works on the left guard for Washington. He's a right-handed football player, if you ask me, from a move standpoint, meaning in pass rush, that's his, and I'll give you the end zone angle here in a moment, but he's getting a little bit of a hands-to-the-face action by the guard. No double team of him. They're stepping the center to Madubuike, and so that just frees him up with the one-on-one with the left guard. And he's winning those matchups a high percentage of the time this year, causing problems, gets us a sack that limits Washington to a field goal after an 11-yard loss. Same play, end zone angle, Madubuike, Jones in a 1, basically A-gap responsible. Guard steps to him. Center goes to help out with Madubuike. And this club is nasty. It is working against so many guys from a right-handed stance. Haven't seen it from a left-handed stance yet, meaning haven't seen him do this with his left hand. I'm sure those guys work those moves to both sides, but he's right-handed probably. There's over an 80% chance that he is. Once he gets those hips through after the club, it's pretty much over. Third possession, Jones again. He's going to slant on a run play. Yannick Ngakoue is involved in this as well. I think the Ravens identify something pre-snap because Roquan is on a blitz, number 1. Number 2, Jones is on a stunt or slant. So Jones is here. He's going to try to cross the center's face. Roquan is going to blitz into that vacated gap, trying to clog this up. Additional to that, Ngakoue is going to step down after being unblocked. That's what he does. He gets upfield some. He plays on whatever angle you give him. I think he's a little less agile than some of our other outside linebackers, like Van Noy, for example, but folds down inside. I'll give you the end zone angle of this one so you can see what I mean by Jones stunting or slanting across the center's face. So Jones is ripping across the center's face here. Here comes Roquan on the blitz, guard pulling away. It's supposed to be F counter to our right-hand side. And Ngakoue is stepping down. He folds inside as well. Doesn't get a credit for the tackle. It's all Travis Jones, and as far as a statistical designation, he's playing like a man-child at times this year. You want him on the field as much as possible, but we've got 3 good ones in there with, at least on Sunday, Pierce, Madubuike, and Jones. Third possession, we're in dime. We're playing a little bit of robber. One of the few times that I feel like we left our integrity out there for Daniels to take advantage of. It's a 3rd and 5. Watch Ojabo take on the right tackle, kind of just a bull rush and just set him back, basically trying to keep the pocket in a little bit of a concave shape. Ngakoue, I think, gets a little bit too far upfield, and additional to that, Madubuike goes on an inside move into the A-gap. So ends up into the A-gap. Ngakoue is rushing upfield a little bit. And look, he won against this left tackle, I think, 3 different times. But when we're playing man, maybe we can't get upfield as much as we did there. And Daniels escapes out of there, ends up being a 6-yard gain. I feel like he had to work really hard to make things happen with his legs. I'm not saying that in a rematch, Daniels couldn't figure out ways and the offensive coordinator couldn't scheme up some more stuff, but even on a situation like that, he only got 6 yards. Yes, it's a critical 6 yards as a first down, but a 6-yard gain nonetheless. Third quarter, probably one of the top 5 plays I've seen from an outside linebacker this year, and actually Van Noy makes 2 of them in this game. Unfortunately, only one of them counts. It's a tackle for loss against 12 personnel. Again, this is the third quarter. Washington's first possession of the third quarter, I think. They're running F counter, and Washington seems to run this often. So guard and tight end from the same side are pulling. Guard's going to pull to kick out Van Noy, and then the tight end would wrap and lead for the running back. Watch what Van Noy does. I'm going to pause it a couple of times. He recognizes it now, reduces his surface contact area by getting low, pulling his inside shoulder down, not giving up his back, but not exposing his chest at all. That's the key. Don't expose your chest at all. Give him a small surface area. Those shoulder pads those guys wear nowadays are really small. Anyway, gets underneath of the pulling guard, able to take on Eckler, who I didn't think showed a tremendous burst on Sunday. At least the times we played against him, I have not been super impressed, to be honest with you. 2021, and then last year on the road, and then this year with Washington now that he's left LA. Same play, end zone angle. So you can see it's this guard that pulls to kick Van Noy. Focus on what he does in this area here to reduce his surface contact area for the guard. Basically, get skinny, dip his inside shoulder down, get underneath of the block. Amazing timing. I think it's a sick play. It ends up being a 0-yard gain. I thought it was a tackle for loss, but brilliant stuff from Kyle Van Noy, and I'll show you another play that he made later on that doesn't count because we accepted a penalty on Washington on the snap. Eckler up the middle again, and he's going against the grain of the run concept. It's a down sweep, in my opinion, so they're pulling the center and the guard to the edge. I think the point of attack is off tackle down here. Eckler winds it back. Travis Jones kind of getting scooped a little bit, just swallows Eckler up. No gain on the play. He's an absolute monster in there on the inside. So here's the same play. Guard's going to pull, center's going to pull, and this right guard is going to try to scoop Travis Jones, which actually does successfully. Eckler, unfortunately for Washington, takes it backside. Not that there's going to be a whole heck of a lot. There's not a huge gap in here anyway, and that could be what Eckler is reading, but there's really nothing on the cutback because of the design, because of the scheme. The right guard's supposed to try to scoop Jones. If the right guard just takes him down, meaning further right to left on our screen, possibly there's a cutback there for Eckler, but that's not the way they block it, number one. And number two, Jones is, I think, a guy who can win even when he loses. So there's some times where, and like that one, he gets scooped a little bit and still makes it work out in his favor. I think he's going to be a destructive force for us, not just this year, but for many years to come. So many other guys had an impact. The only name that I won't really focus on here is Ojabo in this game. I'm not saying he played poorly, but just so many other guys had moments. Tavius Robinson, Pierce gets a half sack later, and this one is Brent Urban. Again, this is third quarter. This is their second possession of the third quarter. Washington took advantage of this with a 3 to the boundary, the running back and 2 tight ends, sometimes a running back, a tight end, and a receiver. In this case, they go from a pistol alignment to the running back to the boundary. We actually do cover it when Eckler goes out into the flats. Simpson is the guy who covers him, number one. Number two, Stevens takes the inside tight end. And then the outside tight end, Ertz, just kind of settles there in between the top of the numbers and the hash. And it's there for Jaden Daniels. A short completion, don't get me wrong, if he's able to get it off. It's a 2nd and 6, but he doesn't. Brent Urban knocks it down. Brilliant stuff by him. Really timely play, if you ask me, that forces the 3rd and 6. We had trouble matching this up. We had trouble defending this from a pass coverage standpoint. I'm sure we'll see it again. 3 into the boundary late, meaning a team has a running back to the field or in the pistol, and then they move him into the boundary late. Very next play, this is flushed out of the pocket. Ngakoue stunting underneath of a pick by, I think, Matabike, pressuring Daniels, one of, I think, 2 passes on the day that really could have been intercepted. This one hits Ardarius Washington pretty much in the chest or the face mask. So here's the stunt. Madubuike getting upfield, and then Ngakoue rolling underneath. The left tackle gets a little bit of a shot on him. I think I give you the end zone angle. And were it not for that little push to knock Ngakoue off balance a little bit, then he's going to get a sack. He's going to be on top of Jaden Daniels a whole lot quicker. Like I said, this is second possession of the third quarter, seventh possession overall. Here's the stunt again. Madubuike, Ngakoue underneath, running back to that side, unable to pick it up either. They basically make a stay call, so the guard stays with Madubuike, and the tackle tries to push Ngakoue down. I'm glad we put Ngakoue on the active roster, in my opinion, with the Detroit Lions defensive end issues, basically so many guys being injured and out for the year for them. I don't think Ngakoue would have made it through the week on our practice squad. So smart move by our front office. I know we're going to run into a roster issue at some point when Keaton Mitchell gets healthy. I think it's obvious he'll be the third running back on the roster. Too valuable to leave out there. I don't have the same opinion of Rasheen Ali that I do of Keaton Mitchell, but I understand they may need to have him active for games coming up soon. Fourth quarter now, and this is where Tavius Robinson really makes some plays and kind of makes his presence known. Not known as a big pass rush guy, but this is a nice job of staying flat on this fake F counter, basically play action boot. The guard and the tight end are pulling to potentially lead. For the running back to that side, they're trying to hold this boundary side inside linebacker basically with the pulling guard, trying to tell him, hey, it's run to the top side, so you need to get up there. Simpson does kind of roll with it for a moment. You can see he gets to the midline, which is fine with me. So Tavius Robinson has to hold, stay flat, don't go until you know. And he sees Jaden Daniels with the football, able to get a quarterback hit on him. I believe he's credited for a quarterback hit. I'm not sure why Jaden Daniels doesn't just throw it away. There's really nothing there for him trying to get it to Zacchaeus. Same possession. Same play, end zone angle, my apologies. So you can see him redirect. Yeah, he's not going to run down Jaden Daniels like to the field, but that's the reason why you have him set to the boundary, number one. Number two, if he was to the field, he'd have the nickel, in the case of Kyle Hamilton, outside of him to support. This is the other play that Van Noy makes that I find so much fun to watch and just talk about and consider all the factors. It doesn't count because of the penalty on Washington. They're in a jumbo set, so they've got a sixth offensive lineman on the field. So we have adapted our alignment. Basically, we've got Trenton Simpson lined up at edge defender up here, Van Noy, edge defender down here to the bottom side, Roquan and Marcus Williams set to the inside, and we seem to be having trouble adjusting. Maybe Washington hadn't shown this look. That's fine. Were it not for Roquan stepping down to basically replace Van Noy. See where Van Noy's feet are. When the running back motions out, Van Noy goes with him. Well, that means there's a subtraction there. So Roquan takes his place. And the Commanders are trying to down block this and then fold with the center, and then have Daniels follow that guy. That line's not really well drawn. It should be a little bit tighter to the wall. Roquan takes on the initial block by the center, and then Van Noy folds down. This is a huge hit on Jaden Daniels. I mean, that was crunching the impact between him and then I believe Marcus Williams flowing from inside out. Great recognition by Van Noy on the motion. Hey, we don't have anybody to go cover that. Let me go, number one. Number two, I'll fold back inside, and I'll just go ahead and tackle this rookie superstar. He's just been doing things like this for years. We are very blessed to have Kyle Van Noy on this roster. Same play, end zone angle. We're in our base defense. One outside linebacker, Robinson. He's over the sixth offensive lineman. Van Noy is off screen here, so Roquan goes over here. It basically takes Van Noy's place. He becomes the other outside linebacker, and he happens to be at the point of attack, number one. Number two, Madubuike makes this bow out a little bit with the center by getting some penetration because he's so strong, because he's so explosive. He basically takes that tackle, reestablishes the line of scrimmage, really almost 2 yards in the backfield. Daniel's path is slowed up. He ends up bouncing it, I think, because of Madubuike. Roquan and Kyle Van Noy are there. Great form tackle. course, they scored 2 plays later. I know that. But we're focusing on the defensive line and the DBs. Very next play, after the penalty, I should say, Van Noy with a clean win against the right tackle who tries to kick him or trip him, and then Tavius Robinson gets the quarterback hit. Watching this live during the game, I wasn't sure why this wasn't intentional grounding, but I guess he gets it past the line of scrimmage. So Van Noy jutting upfield, he's going to jump back to the inside and watch the right tackle. It's a loss, number one. Number two, I think he's trying to trip him there, but maybe he's just opening the gate. I'm not sure. Tavius Robinson finishes it off in terms of the quarterback hit. Last possession here. This is going to be a big play by Ngakoue, even though they do go down and get a field goal here to close within 30 to 23. He turns the corner on this left tackle, finishes Jaden Daniels off, a loss of 3. There's multiple guys there, don't get me wrong, if he wasn't able to wrap him up and bring him down. This is a guy who can get organic wins. Van Noy can get organic wins too. I'm not sure, and Ojabo has had some success with that in limited situations. I think that this right now is the second or third best guy we have in terms of organic wins. No help, no stunt, anything. We're just going to line up and we're just going to beat you with a particular move. Same play, end zone angle, so you can see it. He won 3 times against this left tackle on Sunday. He used the same move, in fact, earlier on, but wasn't able to turn the corner so much. In this case, he's able to get his pad level down, turn the corner. I don't think that the left tackle necessarily did a good job there in terms of getting his set. Ngakoue should be excited. I think it's his first sack of 2024. First one since early in 2023, in fact. Owe gets held here by the right tackle. Later on that possession, of course, Washington does actually convert to get downfield and potentially and get a field goal to get within 30-23. I'm not a big fan of dropping Ngakoue out. We did some of this stuff before when he was in Baltimore under Wink's defense, and number one, I didn't think those guys were trained as well. When they did drop out, number two, to me, he's a pass rush guy. He's a specialist guy. I would like to see him play an attacking style. Every outside linebacker doesn't have to be the same. I'm gonna pause this for a moment. I'll show the last play in a moment. I don't think there's another outside linebacker on this team that makes the play Van Noy does in a moment. Every outside linebacker shouldn't be expected to play the same. Van Noy and Ngakoue are very different players. They're both very smart, savvy, veteran players. I think Ngakwe's only 29, Van Noy's 33. So our calls need to vary depending on who's on the field. So there's a lot of variables there. It's very dynamic. I think we can do that. And I'm a fan of us rotating those guys often. Keep them fresh, keep them attacking. In the event that someone does get injured, if you have been rotating in and playing a lot, meaning basically Tavius Robinson, because he's the guy that we would have to be intentional about getting on the field. The rest of them, I think, organically are going to be out there in the rotation. I think it's a good thing to have this many guys that can play and execute a bunch of concepts. Ngakoue is the guy that I think his workflow chart should be more singular. This is the third play that I think Van Noy makes, and it's no statistical designation like the other two. The tackle for loss or the tackle in the backfield against Eckler, and then the big hit on Jaden Daniels that gets called back because of the penalty on Washington. This is a really cool play from a Van Noy perspective because it's a counter scheme by Washington. The running back is going opposite. Van Noy's not letting the pulling offensive lineman deter him from his rule. Now, that rule doesn't exist on every single play, which is this for an outside linebacker in a 3-4 or a 50 structure. Don't let a running back cross your face. Running back tries to cross your face, go with him, stay on his outside shoulder. Basically, don't let him beat us out into the flats or run a wheel. And you can see Jaden Daniels makes it look like a weird play. He's ducking down. The guards are pulling. I think they're trying to hold our inside linebackers, get them away from the play. Look at what they're setting up. 3 guys out here. 2 pullers. Were it not for Van Noy being so savvy and aware, they're going to throw this football out there on the screen. Is somebody going to make a play? Is somebody going to prevent Eckler from finding space? Sure, it's possible. All I know is Jaden Daniels didn't even get to throw off. Is shut down because of Van Noy's awareness, how smart he is, how willing he is to redirect. Ngakoue is a guy who may go attack the quarterback there. Again, his focus is going to be more singular, and I'm a fan of that. We've just got to mitigate that as best we can. Ends up being a split sack for Pierce and Matabike. I think our front 6-7 can play like this against Washington every time we play them. I just think we have better players than them up front. from a defensive line, outside linebacker standpoint, Zach Orr has a lot of options. That's one of the reasons why so many of us as Ravens fans were disappointed with the quality of our defensive play early in the season, because we know how much talent we have. I think the talent was on full display Sunday. Credit to Zach Orr and those guys for having a game plan in that was appropriate to keep Jaden Daniels from scrambling, to prevent him from having a huge impact with his legs. He did throw the ball quite well. Obviously, 2 touchdown passes, like I said. I think he was 24 of 35. So efficiency-wise, I feel like that's a pretty good number. I'm not a huge fan at all of our coverage call on the 4th and 12 that was after the sack by Pearson Matabike. I actually covered that in a Patreon video that I did earlier today, and I'm doing a Nate Wiggins film study that'll be out Tuesday night, where I will discuss that play and that coverage in detail and also compare it to 2 coverages that Wink Martindale used in the past that I think we all were disappointed by. Nothing to be disappointed about, however, from the overall perspective, how the defensive line played on Sunday against the Commanders. We're going to need that again against Tampa Bay next Monday night. Appreciate you guys' time. If you checked out the film study video this long, thank you. Second of all, let me know what you thought of the plays I chose to illustrate how well our defensive line played up front in limiting Jaden Daniels to only 22 yards in scrambles, the Commanders to 52 or 53 yards overall rushing. Thought that was important to make them one-dimensional. They did have that third dimension almost, I guess, from a screen standpoint, that was able to hit us big on their 4th possession. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy listening to and watching this film study that I produced, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.